Good evening, everyone. So today we're going to start element number two of NEBOSH IGC. So element number two basically discusses about health and safety management system. So in this element, we're going to look at how health and safety management systems work and what they look like. So basically, the learning objectives of this module are that after this module, you should be able to give an overview of the elements of an occupational health and safety management system and the benefits of having a formal or certified management system. Also, you must be able to discuss the main ingredients of an occupational health and safety management system that makes it effective, including the policy, responsibilities, and arrangements. Okay, the health and safety management system basically most of the health and safety management systems internationally, they are based on the PDCA cycle. PDCA cycle or PDCA methodology is a very famous methodology, and you can relate almost every management system to the PDCA methodology. What does PDCA mean? In PDCA, P is for plan, which means you need to plan what you're doing. Then you need to do it or implement your plan. C is for checking, check that whatever you're doing is working or not working. And then A is for act, act if what you're doing could be improved. So this is known as the PDCA cycle. Whenever you want to achieve something, whenever you want to go for getting something done, you need to have a plan in place. So having a plan in place and deciding what you're going to do is very important. Once you decide what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, then you need to go out and you need to implement that plan. Then you need to do it. So planning and then is doing or implementing, then checking. Checking means whatever you're doing, is it working or not working? So you need to check, you need to monitor, you need to make sure whatever you plan, you are going in accordance to that plan and everything is working properly. And then if you feel that something is not working properly, you need to take actions to improve the situation. Or even if everything goes perfectly, you still need to make changes, you still need to take actions to make further improvement. So this basically cycle is known as the continuous improvement cycle. So you plan something, then you do it or implement it, then you check whether what you have done has given you your desired outcomes or not, and based on that you take actions, and the feedback from the action goes back to the planning as well. So again you replan, you do, you check. So this is a continuous improvement cycle. So if you keep on repeating this cycle, this is going to help improve your health and safety management system. It will help make your health and safety management system more efficient and more effective. So guys, this is known as the continuous improvement cycle. So you guys, this is the basis of almost all the health and safety management systems around. Okay, so as per the continuous improvement cycle, there are many management systems which are currently in use. One of those management systems was proposed by ILO, the International Labour Organization, and it is known as the ILO OSH 2001. So ILO proposed this occupational health and safety management system model in 2001. So as per ILO, a health and safety management system consists of various elements. The first element here is policy. Basically, policy is a high level element, and your entire management system, it focuses around your policy. Okay, your entire management system is built upon your policy. So policy basically is a document which shows the commitment of the management towards health and safety. And this is a high level document. A policy is a high level document which gives the commitment of the management towards health and safety. And it shows that the management is committed to protecting the workers. The management is committed to comply with the legal requirements. The management is committed to comply with the client requirements and all the other commitments that go with it. Policy has to be signed by the most senior person in the organization. Why? Because if someone else signs the policy will not have the weightage that the it is required for it. So you need to make sure that the most senior person, usually it is the CEO of the company or the managing director or the executive director, they should be signing the health and safety policy. So policy has to be signed by the most senior persons in the organization. Then we have organizing. What do we mean by organizing? Whenever you want to organize something, for example, let's say you want to, plan for a wedding, you need to organize a wedding. When you organize something, you have to assign roles and responsibilities to people. You need to tell everyone what they're going to do. So every person who is going to be involved in doing or achieving what you're about to do, they need to know what they should do. So similarly, in health and safety management as well, you need to assign roles and responsibilities to people. You need to tell them who is going to be the HSC manager, who is going to be the quality manager, who is going to be the road safety manager, who is going to be the logistics manager, who is going to be the administration manager, who is the manufacturing or operations manager. And for each role, you need to define responsibilities. You need to tell them what their health and safety responsibilities are. What are they going to do? Okay. So you need to define who will carry out the risk assessment. You will define who will provide the personal protective equipment. You will define who is going to provide the training. You will define who is going to carry out the audits, who is going to carry out the management walkthroughs, who is going to carry out the steering committee meetings. So all of these things that have to be done, these responsibilities, they have to be assigned to various people. So that is done in the organizing phase. Usually, how do we do this? Usually there is something known as the JD. JD stands for job description. Okay. So basically, when you join a new organization, it is customary that you should be given a JD, a job description, to tell you what your roles and responsibilities are. And in this JD, you will have your HSC responsibilities as well. So whatever health and safety, what you call it, responsibilities you have, should be written in your job description. Okay, and it should be clearly communicated to the workers so that they know what their responsibilities are. So first of all, you plan, you make a policy. It's a high level document. This is part of the planning. Then you organize, you assign roles and responsibilities. Then you have planning and implementation phase. Planning and implementation phase is very, very important as well. So once you have had a policy, you organize properly. Now you need to plan how you're going to carry out the activities. Okay, so you need to develop safe systems of work. That's part of planning. You need to develop method statements. That's part of planning. You need to develop risk assessments. That is also part of planning. You need to develop an emergency or HSC plan. Okay, HSC plans will be there. Emergency response plans will be there. First aid requirements. So all of the procedures and plans, they have to be put in place, and this is part of the planning phase. So once you have had all these systems in place, now you need to implement them. Okay. So implementation is the next part, so planning and implementation. Then during the implementation phase, you need to check and monitor. Okay. Checking and monitoring is known as evaluation. Okay. So what do you need to check and monitor? You need to check and monitor that whatever you planned in this planning phase, let's say you plan that all employees will undergo the site HSE induction, site safety induction when they join. Okay. So during the evaluation or check and monitoring, you need to verify whether everyone has received that induction or not. Okay. So whatever arrangements you agreed on during the planning phase, in the evaluation, you need to check whether those arrangements are being implemented or not. And on top of being implemented, are they effective or not? Are they helping you to reduce your incidents? Okay. So during monitoring, what do? You monitor two types of things. You monitor positive or active indicators. These are also known as leading indicators. And you also mention negative, reactive, or lagging indicators. Okay. What do you mean by positive, acting, and leading indicators? We mean that all the things that you are doing positively before an accident happens. So carrying out safety inspections, safety audits, carrying out risk assessments. So all the things you are doing to prevent an accident and you're doing it before an accident takes place. This is known as positive indicators, or some people call it active indicators, and some people call them leading indicators. And then once an accident happens, you do certain things. You look at the root causes, you carry out the investigation, you review the trends of the incidents. All of these are known as negative or reactive indicators. You can also call them lagging indicators. Okay. So basically, this is evaluation, or you can also call it checking, monitoring. Then you have actions for improvement. Based on your evaluation, you'll have certain findings. And in order to address those findings, you need to take actions for improvement. These actions can be either to improve the situation because you have not achieved what you desired to achieve, or these actions could be for continual improvement, which means you have achieved what you planned for, but should you stop there? No, you need to make improvements. For example, you set a target of reducing the incidents by 5%. You achieve the target, well done. Next year, will you leave it as it is? No, you need to improve it further. You can increase it. You can say next year you will achieve a target and you will reduce the accidents by 6%. So similarly, you are striving for continual improvement. Okay. Another element of the ILO Oversight 2001 management system is known as auditing. Now, auditing, interestingly, it is a part of or an element of the management system, but at the same time, it is looking at all the other management system and making sure that all the other elements of the management system are working properly and they are efficient and they are producing the desired outcomes. Auditing basically is an independent review or an independent and systematic examination of the entire management system. Okay, so it gives us an overview of what the management system is, and is it effective or not. Okay. Now, as I told you guys that the ILO OSH 2001, in fact, all management systems, they are based on the PDCA methodology. Okay, plan, do, check, and act methodology. Now, can you guys relate these elements and tell me which element of the PDCA cycle do they belong to? Now, if you look at policy, which element of the PDCA cycle does policy belong to? Does it belong to plan, do, check, or act?
Plan.
Anybody? Plan. Very
Plan.
well said. So policy relates to planning. What about organizing?
It's also plan.
Organizing is also planning. Very good. Very good. So when you're organizing, you're actually planning, you're giving roles and responsibilities to people. Then we have planning. Planning also goes to plan. What about implementation?
Do.
Implementation relates to the do part. Evaluation.
Check.
Check.
Evaluation is checking. You're checking and monitoring. Actions for improvement.
Action.
Act. Very well said. And auditing, it can be for both check and also act. Okay. So this is how the PDCA methodology influences the other management systems, and you can see this working very, very nicely. So this is a management system model, and this is known as the ILO OSH 2001 model. Okay. We have another model. We'll discuss that shortly, but let me explain these elements one by one. Policy, as we discussed, is a clear statement of commitment of towards health and safety. So basically, in the policy, the management is giving their clear statement and they are giving their commitment towards health and safety. Then we have organizing. Organizing basically is assigning roles and responsibilities for health and safety, and you have to define roles and levels at all levels of the organization. So roles and responsibilities have to be defined at all levels of the organization. So you need to define roles and responsibilities for the top management. Okay. You need to define roles and responsibilities for the department heads, then for the middle management, then for the supervisors, then from the foremen, then for the workers. So every level in the organization must have defined roles and responsibilities so that they can perform properly. Then planning and implementation phase is there. In planning and implementation phase, you carry out detailed arrangements to manage health and safety. You carry out risk assessments. You develop method statements. You decide on safe systems of work such as PTW. Okay. You also decide on LOTO or any other safe working methodologies. So this is the planning and implementation phase, guys. Then we have evaluation. Evaluation basically is about methods to monitor and review the effectiveness of the arrangements. So evaluation basically is checking. So basically you are going to check your effectiveness of your management system, and you are going to make various what you call it. You're going to decide on various indicators which are going to show you whether your performance is going in accordance with the plan or not. Then we have auditing. Audit is an independent, critical, and systematic review of the management system. So you're looking at the entire management system when you're auditing. Then you have actions for improvement. Actions for improvement. So when you're doing your monitoring, evaluation, and you're auditing, you're going to come up with certain findings. Now you need to take actions to address those findings. So if you find out that there is something wrong in your management system, something which is not working, or something which may not work in future and can cause issues, you need to take steps to correct the situation found in the review. So you need to take actions for improvement. Okay, so you need to improve your situation. And finally, this actions for improvement, they will lead to continual improvement, and the safety management system will keep on developing over time. And with regular reviews, regular auditing, you keep on taking decisions and making setting actions to improve your management system. This will lead to continual improvement of your management system. Okay, next, the second management system model that we are going to have a look at is known as ISO 45001. Who can tell me what ISO is? What is ISO?
International Standardization of Organization.
Exactly. So ISO basically, it is an international organization for standardization. So it basically sets standards for various management systems and various activities. Similarly, they have set a standard for health and safety management. So standards, although they are very, very useful, they are not mandatory. It depends on your organization if they want to follow certain standards or not. Okay. What is mandatory? Mandatory things are the legal requirements. So anything which is written in the law, that is mandatory for you to follow. But standards, they are not mandatory, but they are a very, very good practice, and you should, always try to comply with the standards. So this is the ISO 45001. ISO, they have issued many other standards as well. They issued ISO 9001, okay, which is Quality Management System Standard or QMS. They also issued ISO 14001. This is an Environmental Management System Standard. Then they also issued ISO 45001. This is the health and safety, occupational health and safety management system. So these are various standards, and we're going to study now ISO 45001, which is a very, very important standard. Now, ISO 45001, basically it focuses a lot on the leadership and worker participation. So your management and your workers both need to get together, both need to participate in health and safety to make it successful. Now, basically, the ISO 45001 standard starts off by saying that you need to design your health and safety management system in context of the organization. So you need to make sure that the management system you are developing, it is in line with the requirements of the organization. It is in line with the context of the organization. What does the context consist of? The context consists of the scope of the health and safety management system. Okay. So you need to define what your what your activities are, what your scope of work is, where does this safety management system apply to? Does it apply to your entire organization or part of your organization, or is it for a dedicated project? So you need to define the scope of the health and safety management system. You also need to mention or design your management system as per the needs and expectations of the workers. The workers and other interested parties, they have various needs and expectations. What are other interested parties who might have needs and expectations from your organization other than workers? Workers, definitely, they have certain needs, they have expectations. We need to make sure the management system is meeting their needs and expectations, and others as well. In others, there could be your client. So you might have to make sure you're complying with the client requirements. In others, also, there is the legal requirements are there as well. In others, you can also consider insurance companies' requirements as well. So all of these are these entities. Their needs and expectations must be considered when designing the health and safety management system. Then you also need to look at the external and internal issues as well. You need to look at what can create health and safety issues. So internally and externally, you need to look at both. Internally, you need to look at the internal issues within the organization, previous accident history, lack of competence, or what you call it, a good or a poor safety culture. So internal issues have to be considered as well. And then you need to look at external issues as well, such as the global economic climate, overall, what you call it, business in the world. So all of these external factors, they also influence the management system as well. So all of these considerations have to be taken into account while designing the health and safety management system. Then again, we have P for planning. This again follows the PDCA cycle, P, T, C, A cycle. So we have planning, which is a very, very crucial part of the safety management system. Then we have what you call it, support and or operation. So this is the do or implementation phase. Then we have performance evaluation, which is the checking phase. And then we have improvement, which is actions for improvement. And all of this revolves around what? Leadership and worker participation. None of these is going to be successful without the participation of the leadership or the participation of the workers. So you need to secure both. You need to secure the leadership, top management commitment, and you also need to secure the worker participation as well. Okay. So this is what you call it, the ISO 45001 standard, and it's a very, very important standard to remember. Okay, then we have making the health and safety policy work. Okay, so a health and safety policy, as I told you guys, is a very, very, very important document. It is a foundation of a good health and safety management in the organization, and it sets out the organization's aims and objectives. Okay. It also identifies who is responsible for achieving these aims and objectives, and it states how the aims and objectives are to be achieved. Now, when you develop a health and safety policy, the health and safety policy, it must be in line with the organization's requirement. And every organization has its own requirements. No two organizations can have one policy. Why? Because every company has their own needs, their own expectations, and every company's scope of work is different. Okay. The circumstances for every company are different. So that is why you cannot have one policy for everyone, because every organization has its own needs and expectations. Okay. The circumstances for each organization are different. They will have their own internal organizational structure. They will be reporting to different clients, various clients. Every organization has different clients. So they might be located in a different area or a region. They might be following different laws. So that is why you should never ever, what you call it, consider that a policy could be the same for everyone. Policy has to be specific to every single organization. So as per the ILO recommendation R64, so yesterday, a day before yesterday, in element number 1, we discussed ILO convention C-155, and we also discussed ILO recommendation R-164. Okay, these are very, very important. Then you need to remember these because you will use them in the IG2 risk assessment. Okay, when you're preparing your risk assessment, you need to give legal arguments. So the legal arguments, you can use them by giving reference to the ILO C-155 and ILO R-164. So the International Labour Organization, as we discussed day before yesterday, it basically sets the what you call it, codes of practices. It gives conventions and recommendations related to health and safety for everyone to follow. And various companies, various countries have adopted this, and they have developed their own legislation as well. So basically, ILO Article 14, ILO R-164, it requires employers to set down in writing. So your policy must be written. They must set down in writing policy and arrangements for health and safety management. So you need to set in writing the health and safety policy and the arrangements to manage health and safety where circumstances warranted, and it should be in a language which is easily understandable by the workers. So the policy must be in the language which is spoken by the workers. If you develop a policy or you make a policy in English and all your workers are from India or Pakistan, then obviously that policy is useless because they don't speak English, they don't understand English. So the policy must be in a language which is readily understood by the workers, and it should be in a medium which is readily available as well. Okay. So this is how you develop a health and safety policy.